The Compound Media YouTube channel put up a free episode of the Anthony Cumia show yesterday. And it was actually a pretty good episode. I usually, talk crap about Compound Media and the Anthony Cumia show that I don't like it. But when they do a good show, I gotta give them credit and do a good show. They had Ann Coulter and Jim Florentine on. So they talked about a whole bunch of different things, the Jussie Smollett situation in Chicago, a bunch of other things. It was a good episode, but then they got to the subject of Artie Lange. And they talked about the usual stuff, his new arrest, him being in jail. Dave Landau, I thought, gave some good advice and criticism. But after all that discussion, Anthony brought up something that I had never known and no one ever knew that I found to be extremely fascinating. So before they fired Anthony Cumia, I mean, before Anthony Cumia fired Artie Lange from the AA show, I loved the AA show. Like I said, I wouldn't have fired Artie, but I get why they did. He was disrespecting them, coming in high, missing late every day, just missing shows, leaving early, his whole legal trouble. So I get why they did it. So, but before they fired him, they discussed firing him with Judd Apatow. Seriously. They called up Judd Apatow from Crashing. And I think because they were going to try and do it all at once, meaning they were going to fire him from the AA show. And I think their hope was to get Judd to fire him from Crashing as well, in the hopes that he gets better. Now, I guess Judd, I don't know if Judd said yeah and then just never did it, or if he was just like, I'm not going to do that, because they kind of gave Judd some crap about continuing to hire Artie, give him money so he can go buy more drugs. But the reason why I find this so fascinating, one, that they could even get on the phone with Judd Apatow. But two, he made it sound like these talks were very, very early on. And see, the whole time during the AA show, and that was most of the AA show content and discussion was on my original YouTube channel. So for all those who used to be subscribed to that one, I was calling Artie Lange being fired months before he got fired. And no one would ever, I'd make a video like every day, because every day you come in late and you can tell the look on Anthony's face. He was pissed off. And I'd be like, Anthony was so mad today. Everyone in the comments be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. They're never going to fire Artie. It's never going to happen. And then the day came and I had to make the video. They fired Artie Lange officially. So, but I just find it so interesting that they actually went to Judd Apatow and like were trying to also not just fire him from the AA show, but get him fired from Crashing as well. Now, one could look at that as kind of a pretty messed up move. Like, it's one thing firing him for your show, but damn, you're trying to get him fired from another show. You could also look at it, though, as they were legitimately looking out for the guy, and they knew, look, if I could fire him from this AA show, but if you keep giving him a chance on your HBO show, he's never going to get better. I don't know if I would have agreed with that tactic, because at the end of the day, the dude can just go ahead and do stand-up gigs and make money. And he'll always have an audience. I mean, he may not be able to do theaters, but he can sell out a comedy club. It's Artie Lange. Even though, look at his nose, my God. But yeah, I just found that to be so interesting. And that's never been talked about before, how they actually behind the scenes called up Judd Apatow, and discussed, hey, we're thinking about firing him. Maybe you should fire him too. And they were probably letting Judd in on things that Judd didn't even see. Because I guarantee you, Artie Lange acts a lot different on like a HBO set than behind the scenes at the podcast he does every day. You know what I'm saying? So they're probably like, yo, this guy is very messed up. We're thinking about getting rid of him. You might have to also. I mean, the dude's in a bad way. So, I don't know. But like I said, yesterday's entire show is up for free on the Compound Media YouTube channel. It's actually pretty good. The other insight is like they don't believe Artie's story about the kidnapping because, of course, it's not a real story. It's complete and utter BS. So the story is so not true. It's just made up out of nowhere. And they were like, Gino Piscante brought up a good point. How did the guy carry him to the van? I'm like, we all brought up that point, stupid. But I just like, they're not buying a word Artie is saying, which is, I mean, if you're believing Artie Lange at this point, you got to be out of your mind. So, and like they had a great line about, hey, I didn't believe white privilege was true until, I saw Artie Lange because they brought up the point I brought up. Well, Dave Landau did that. At this point, it really is the judge's fault. If it was some black guy, and not even a black guy, you, me, anybody, a Chinese guy, anybody else at this point, well, before he's in jail now, but even now, like there's some confusion as to whether or not he's in jail for a couple of days just to get it out of his system. Then he's going to go to a rehab, or if like he's in jail, going to go back in front of a judge, and then they're going to violate his probation. He's going to go to prison. I'm assuming it's going to be the couple of days, then sent to a rehab. Then again, I don't know, and they were commenting on his mugshot and his nose. Oh boy, does he look terrible. So there's still confusion in that aspect. Like I said, Dave Landau, I think, had the best opinion about it. It's not even worth it to even be mad at Artie Lange anymore. Like, because he said people on Twitter are like, oh, like, it's my thing. I'm not even mad. I just laugh at it now. Like, I've noticed some comments in my comments. You seem to be taking glee in Artie's downfall. It's not that I'm taking glee, but I mean, Jesus, how much do you want me to care? Like, I cared the most, and I was mainly most concerned during the AA show, and I was like, because I saw the wheels coming off, and I loved the AA show so much, and I knew it was going to come to an end because he was going to mess it up. That's when you caught caring. Hey. That's when you caught caring saying, like, come on, Artie, get it together. But now it's just like, it's too comical now. Now you're just going to laugh at it. Hey, look at his face. He looks like Shang Tsung. He looks high out of his mind, nose all guap. He went to court looking like that. So he's not taking it. Artie Lange's not taking it that serious, obviously, so why would you? And Dave brought up a good point. Don't get mad at him. Just freaking stop enabling him. Cut him off. Like he was like, they talked about, his fake rehab stint in which Bob Levy would run up there like, hey, we got to go do a gig for $1,000. And like, he was basically like a comedian. Stopped trying to do work with him to get a little check. And I got where he was coming from. So, like I said, you can go check it out. It's on Compound Media's YouTube channel. It's a whole 2-hour show. They talk about Artie at the end. If you want to just get to the Artie part about the last, I want to say, 25 minutes of the show. They just talk about Artie. Great insight, though, because you have to remember Florentine knows Artie. They're all in behind the show there. He talked about how Chris Rock told Howard Stern he should fire Artie to save his life, which I never even knew that. So, but I like I said, I just found I never heard this story before of Anthony and Keith getting in touch with Judd Apatow to discuss firing Artie Lange altogether. I find it to be pretty crazy. So give me your thoughts on the matter in the comments.